Marcus, you kind of touched on this the other day, but what have you seen from Evan Carter in his approach at the plate and what he's kind of brought to this team in this short time he's been here?
Well, it's been a very mature approach at the plate for such a young hitter. I remember when I was his age, still in the minor leagues, I was still trying to figure things out. A lot more swing and miss. I think he's learned a lot from what we talk about in spring training as a group. He's implemented it. I think he already has a lot of qualities that we want here. And for him to be hitting in the 9-hole in front of me, it's nice when he's on base. So it's time for me to get hot.
What when you and Cory signed here, could you envision this happening? Could you realistically envision that in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, this is our goal last year was to be here. Obviously, we needed a lot of pieces. CY and ownership went out and got the pieces we needed. Our lineup has matured a little bit, and just experience has helped us get better. Cory and I have understood where we're at now in Texas, and what our routine is, and we're just like clockwork now, especially as a lineup. I think the pitching is coming into its own when you talk about the back end of the bullpen, and the starters who have stayed healthy for us have been doing really well.
Okay, over on the right side.
Marcus, what stands out to you about this Orioles team?
Well, it's a team that we haven't seen since earlier in the year, but I think back to last season when they handled us pretty well. Their young players are extremely talented. You talk about a young leader in Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson stepping up this year, and they already have guys like Santander and Mountcastle who've been here, and Hayes also. I played against those guys going back to 2021 with the Blue Jays, and just seeing how far they've come. It's pretty impressive, but I definitely saw it coming, and I knew that their front office is really smart, and they've been getting the right players and calling up the right pitchers, and it's going to be a battle.
Okay, over on the left in the back.
Hey, Marcus, how important has Jordan Montgomery been to this team, and what makes him so effective?
Yeah, he's tough. He's a guy who I've faced in the past, and it's just tough to pick the ball up against him. He's a large left-handed pitcher who you can't see the ball well off of. So I think that it's you talk about a guy who's 6'6", straight over the top with a ton of different weapons. If he's throwing strikes with his fastball, and you already can't see it well, that makes those other pitches play that much better.
Okay, over on the right, third row.
Marcus, the Orioles have two young starting pitchers you guys are going to be facing this weekend, Kyle Bradish and Grayson Rodriguez. What kind of stands out to you about those two guys?
Yeah, I mean, those guys have really good stuff. I think they go about it two different ways. Bradish with the quick windup, a lot of movement. Rodriguez with the four-seam fastball that he tries to overpower you with, and a good changeup. So we'll go back and look at everything they've done recently. I'm sure the way they attacked us earlier in the year is maybe a little different than what they're doing now, just because over time pitchers improve and learn some things over the years. So obviously what they've been doing has been working, and we just need to go look at what they've been doing and see how we can attack them.
Okay, Gabe, over on the left.
Hey, Marcus, you've seen Josh and Evan debut in consecutive seasons and obviously show really well early on. What is it about those guys and the way they prepare and have been prepared that enables them to get their feet down and really flourish right away?
Yeah, I mean, I think they go about it two different ways. Josh Jung came up here last year and struggled a little bit, a lot more swing and miss. And he showed up to spring training just, very hungry. And his work ethic is top notch. I think I'm still learning about Evan. He just got here. What I've learned from him is just he's very calm in the big moment, and that's very rare.
Okay, over in the back on the left.
Marcus, what do you make on the notion of rest versus rust? You guys have had a series under your belt, and the Orioles have been off. Would you have rather had the time off?
Well, I think we just got 2 days off. Today still counts as a day off. We get to sharpen up a little bit, but me, I've played every single game this year, so any day off, yesterday, today, those are helpful for us. I think us playing good baseball in Tampa is more valuable than not playing baseball. Our pitchers are getting their rest, and they're looking sharp. So at the end of the day, tomorrow we'll see where both teams are at. We both want to play our best baseball, and once major league players get rolling, I think it doesn't matter.
Okay, take a couple more over on the left.
Okay, this is, I guess, a little bit of a follow-up to that, Marcus, because this has become essentially your longest road trip of the season. This is day 12 being away from Arlington. Has that in and of itself presented any particular challenges?
You know, at this point in playoff baseball, we're ready for wherever we're playing. I think that the road that we had to take to get here was, you know, of course we would have wanted to win the division, be home, be with our families, but a lot of families traveled here. You know, I think that makes players comfortable just to be around their loved ones. For me, I'm not able to, but, you know, I'm certainly excited to get back home Sunday, hopefully with 2 wins under our belt.
Right on the right.
Marcus, what have you learned about Adolis Garcia since you've been his teammate, and what does he mean to your clubhouse?
Yeah, I mean, he's a 5-tool player. I think, obviously, if he gets his batting average up to, you know, 280s, 300, we're talking about a legitimate 5-tool guy. He's a leader in our clubhouse. He's a leader for, you know, our Latin players. He's just one of the most talented players a lot of us have ever seen. When you talk about how big and strong he is, but how athletic and agile he is also. He's got a great arm. He's got power. He's clutch. And, you know, he definitely plays a good right field out there. So when we lost him earlier, you know, in this season, it was definitely a big loss for us.
Okay. Evan, did you have one?
What makes this team tick?
I think at this point, you know, winning is everything to us. You know, we've shown that we can go on hot streaks, you know, 8 in a row, 9 in a row. Winning is contagious. We have players who've won World Series who know the feeling. You know, I personally am starting to see playoff Cory Seager versus regular. And regular was an MVP candidate, but just seeing the way he's going about his business in the playoffs versus regular season, it's a step above. So, you know, everybody's hungry and ready to win, and that's what keeps us going.
Is there anything in particular you think brought you guys together to the level that you are now over the course of the season? Because you saw what that team was like last year. You've been here for both of these seasons. Is there anything in particular that has really meshed the group?
I don't know. I think I think at the end of the day, it's been a roller coaster of a season when you think about how well we started, how the injuries have gone, you know, how the end of the year went, you know, what everybody expected out of us, which was to win the AL West, and didn't happen, and what we just did in Tampa. I think that nobody expected us to come out there and handle Tampa the way we did. It shows that in playoff baseball, the team who's playing the cleanest baseball usually wins. That's always a goal of ours, to play clean defense, throw strikes, have good at-bats, don't chase when you're up there. And, you know, those things will usually put us in the best position to win.
Okay. Ken, go ahead.
Marcus, it's only been 2 games, so what's the difference between regular season Cory Seager and playoff Cory Seager?
You know, I just see a different bounce in his step, honestly. You know, I'm a former shortstop. I pay attention to what all shortstops are doing. And you see the little bit more bounce in his step, and he already has a good step. It's just a little different. Obviously, he's been hitting the entire year. He's going to hit. He had maybe a slow last week of the season. We show up to Tampa, and he's back locked in with, you know, 4 big hits for us. And that's what I've watched over the years, you know, as the Dodgers went further and further every single year, was Cory Seager leading that team.
Okay.
Marcus, what makes this team collectively as a unit as good defensively as you guys have been, other than individuals who are good defensive players, but just coming together as a team and playing good team defense?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes down to, you know, now with the new rules where we can't shift, be in the right spots. That's step one. I think that for the most part, we're an athletic group. Our outfield is definitely athletic. And fielding ground balls and turning ground balls into outs is going to win you a lot of games. I think when you see what, you know, for instance, Atlanta did in 2021, how they won the World Series was defense. They were nails. You know, our lineup has carried us the entire year, but pitching and defense right now is going to really help.
Okay, we'll take one last one in the back.
Marcus, Adley earlier this afternoon was asked about his first playoff experience. He said he expects to get that first pitch under his belt, and then it'll be business as usual from an emotional perspective. As somebody who's been there before, does that mesh with your experience? Do those butterflies go away?
I think they're going to be there no matter what. You know, anytime you play in front of 40,000 plus, every pitch, every fan is invested in every pitch. It's a little different from the regular season. We had a chance to play in front of that kind of atmosphere in Seattle right before our wild card series, and guys felt it. I've always loved playing in the playoffs. It actually is kind of calming for me to hear like just more noise and just more chaos, and I think that comes with age. But I know they have a lot of guys who have not played in the playoffs yet, so we'll see how they come out.
Okay, Marcus, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.